You're welcome back to Breakfast Central. As Judith and I said earlier when we opened the show today, we have quite a lot in store for you today. And join us for the second part of the conversation on the PDP convention in Ibadan and also the scuffle and the crisis in the PDP, especially what happened at the Secretariat yesterday, is the convener of the alternative movement, Otumba Segun, who is a long-term PDP member. A warm welcome to you, Otumba Segun. First of all, I would like to start off with your reaction and your assessment of the events that played out yesterday at Wadata Plaza, Abuja. Whose fault is it, and could this situation have been avoided?
Embarrassing is to put it mildly, disgraceful is the proper word. There is a certain struggle for control of a political party that comes with an assumption that once you become the candidate of that party, you will automatically become more than likely the candidate that will win. That type of misbehavior and arrogance is usually reserved for the ruling party because all of the extra support that can make the life of a candidate easy is always available with them. When a political party has been in opposition, lost 3 elections back to back, I suppose that a little bit more soberness is expected of how they view issues. Could yesterday have been avoided? Maybe it could have been delayed, especially when they have made up their mind that everybody is going to be interpreting court orders in their own private and selfish and self-serving manner. Before we got to the convention in Ibadan, we had 2 judgments saying don't go, and one that said, albeit belatedly, that they should go. You would have expected that they would tidy up the issues in that court cases and probably do the Court of Appeal or follow the wise counsel and set up a caretaker committee to get us the proper escrow, camp free now, agree the basis by which they're going to do a convention. People don't go to convention divided. They go to convention either to go and contest or to go and affirm in a consensus manner. Before you can do a consensus in a convention, you would have followed the minimum benchmark of transparency and fairness. You can't withhold forms, keep them to yourself, do the zoning all by yourself, pretend as if you have control of the entire play, refuse to sell form to those who will be willing and interested in buying, pretend as if Justice Omotosho did not give very clear judgment and others, pretend as if Justice Lifu did not give clear judgment and others, run on a forum shopping spree in Oyo where maybe you have a bit of influence, get an expert to tell you that you can continue, proceed to the place without being able to carry all your governors along, determine an agenda that all of them did not buy in, embark on a vindictive suspension, expulsion of some of the people you don't like, without getting all of the others to buy into the idea. And then, of course, all hell went loose because those were then retaliated by summarily and actively suspending equal number. So when you ask me, why did they choose to go and have their meetings on the same day? If we have now gotten to the point where we now have PDP A and PDP B, that may be where we are now. But to now attempt to have a meeting in the same location is childish, is disgraceful, and I think the federal government of Nigeria is very weak. They should have prevented them completely from even embarrassing themselves and embarrassing the country, and they should have ensured that that venue was locked down, shut down, closed down, and not allowed to have access. We will not say because we are running democracy, we're going to add to the misery that is in the country. As at now, we're still mourning the loss of a general because of insurgency and Boko Haram. We're mourning the loss of girls from Kebbi who have just been kidnapped, and we don't even have a solution yet. We're mourning the vice president that died. We have a myriad of other issues that are far more serious than the kindergarten and excessive play of a political party in opposition that does not seem to understand that you have to accommodate yourselves to be able to give a good account of yourself.
Mr. Sowunmi, first of all, let me just, you said something which is quite interesting. you said the federal government should at least shut down that place. And it makes me wonder whether or not a federal government has any jurisdiction over a political party's internal affairs. Let's start there. That's just one for you to munch on. But the other is, the fact that these factions have now, the party is now split into two. If one had told me a week ago, if any person had said a week ago that we would see factions within the PDP and it will follow the fate of Labour Party, I most likely would have said maybe, maybe not. But to see this display is quite interesting, that the PDP can also fall to the fate of the inevitable. And so one has to ask at this point, what would then be a way forward? In terms of, Wike has really carried out anti-party activities. And whether one faction is expelling the other faction and this faction is expelling the other faction, one thing is clear: 2027 is around the corner. So should they be on the road to restoration and rebuilding? And what would that road look like? What would be the guardrails? Are they capable of rebuilding and reuniting?
First of all, the assumption that internal affairs of political party are a blank check for crisis and riots and chaos is totally incorrect. When you have court cases that have taken final decisions, those judgments will not implement themselves. It is the duty of the executive to interpret and, after getting all the advice, carry out what the functions of that judgment will be. And that will not be a first time. Sometimes in the build-up to 2019, I think, before 2017, we had gone to River State, Port Harcourt to have a convention. The court order came saying we should stop it, and it was halted. And the heavens did not fall. The second one happened, the court said we should stop it, it was halted. One of the things that Nigerians don't seem to understand is that once a court has given judgment, the responsibility of enforcing it is not with the court anymore. That's why you have the executive who must execute that judgment. Imagine if yesterday they had killed themselves. Imagine if you didn't have enough police to, however untidy it looks, to manage situation. Imagine when you see governors championing the cause of thugs and giving hand control and hand signal to talk to go in and beat their former comrades who have issues with them now. You have to say that somebody has to say enough now. It's on somebody's table that the buck ends. I know that the reason why they did not interfere with them is because of this, blackmailing possibility of people saying, oh, they are interfering with democracy, they are not allowing democracy to. Democracy is not chaos. It can be noisy, but it's not chaos. That's that. In terms of whether we can pull ourselves out of this, I've always repeated over and over and over. One of the major problems we have with trying to solve this problem is dishonesty. Everybody likes to say his side is right, and that his own side is exclusively so right to the detriment of whatever the other person is saying. One of the things you will learn in conflict resolution is that you must have the ability to understand what the other guy is saying, to listen to what the other guy is saying, and to make accommodations where need be. Yes, we may have had an exaggerated conversation of everybody blaming one man for everything, but I'll ask you, did we start this process yesterday? This process started in the build-up to 2019, and of course you can situate where the players were then. If the party managers at that time were clever enough not to implode and inflame the nerves by not expelling them, some of them serving governors now, some of them former governors, and just try to manage it, I wonder why those who did anti-party yesterday are now crying more than the Pope and being too sanctimonious that they want to start punishing people. And if you must punish people, I'm not saying don't punish them. You went into that convention with Fintiri, you went into that convention with the man from Plateau, you went into that convention with yourselves. How is it that 5 of you cannot even agree what the decision is? How come the decision you say you have taken, other people are saying, no, we don't agree to this? So therefore means that the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum obviously has shirked his responsibility and has shown that he does not have what it takes to be able to manage people. We've been in opposition for some time, and we've had people manage Governors Forum, albeit I've always said there is no legal position for Governors Forum in the Constitution. It's part of that creation of this republic that started in 1999, which from what we are seeing now, we need to stop it and end it immediately. And I will advise our rivals, especially the ruling party, this business of saying governors are the leaders of the party is going to bring you exactly the same result that you are getting in PDP. Don't hold your breath. People don't have the ability to be decent when you give them power. Too much excessive power, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Governors are made by the party, are given platform by the party. They don't own the party. They can't boss the party, especially when there are substantive judgments that say don't do this. You can't overreach yourself and expect people to not react. You were the one who went on expelling people. Are you surprised they expelled them back?
Right,
they were the ones that went on suspending people.
Mr.
Are they surprised that they suspend them back? If everybody is trying to be nasty, the best option will be calm down, relax, and let's figure out the way out of this mess.
Mr. Sowunmi, it's very interesting that your subliminals are to the former members of the G5. But most importantly, I fear it's to Governor Makinde, since you're not naming names. I would like you to name names, but Benga has a question for you first.
Yes, Otumba Sowunmi, looking at what happened yesterday, and it seems in the first, looking at Nigeria's political history in the recent past, when you're not, well, when there's a disagreement, there's a tendency to just be dismissive and say, you know, go to court. But these days it has changed. Go to court is not in the forefront of the political lexicon anymore. These days, what they say is invoke the name of Donald Trump. The newly elected chairman of the People's Democratic Party at the Ibadan Convention did call on President Trump to intervene in the crisis in the PDP and also save Nigeria's democracy. And also this morning, we had the pleasure of speaking with the newly elected Publicity Secretary, Comrade Ini Mabong. He also doubled down on that and said, you know, this Western nation sold us the idea of democracy. So it's sort of their responsibility to see that democracy thrives and survives in Nigeria. What do you make of this invocation of President Trump's name ever since he designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern? Does he mean we're incapable of solving our own internal problems as a people?
Let me be very clear. Whatever it is that took place in Ibadan is going to be tested in the courts. I have very strong suspicion that the combined interpretation of Justice Omotosho and Justice Lifu is going to say they only went there to have a party of their own, and whatever it is that they've built, they'll be building something or nothing, and it may not stand. So be careful how you call them chairman and whatever title they have imposed on themselves. Exactly. The monk, the garment does not make the monk. You are putting, let us summarily, you know, in the meantime accept that you have given him a big title. If you understood the responsibility on top of his shoulders, he will not even be doing what is absolutely subversive and a slight tilting towards felony. No serious leader of a nation will stand in front of his television and be calling external people to come and interfere in the internal affairs of democracy in the country. People ask for support for training. People don't try to insinuate that they are going to be so unpatriotic and crass in discipline to say that the President of America should come and start helping them to sort out the larceny that they created for themselves, which if only they had been a little bit fair, a little bit truthful, a little bit respectful of court order, a little bit accommodating of give and take, a little bit honest, they would have avoided. So I think it's an irresponsible comment and it should be expunged. I think that yes, the President of America has offered some comments concerning insurgency. That's a very serious matter, and I think that should be left in that direction. You can't be inviting Donald Trump to come and help you solve your family quarrel. You can't call him to come and help you cook the food or taste the food in your country. That's not how nations are run. And to imagine that someone prides himself on being a son at that the next thing he can see to say when they have gotten themselves into and Armageddon is to be inviting the president of another country, tells you the kind of material they are made from. That's irresponsible. It's a sorry comment, and I apologize, because obviously I'm a member of the party, and I don't think that is how we want to be represented.
Right.
This has nothing to do with Donald Trump. This has nothing to do even with the governor of the president of Ghana. It doesn't even have much to do with other citizens, free-loving, patriotic Nigerians. It has to do with the PDP. I also want to put it on record clearly. No one should be deceived that if PDP does not solve its own internal problem, the democracy is weakened. There are more political parties in the country. From the kinds of optics we are seeing, the ADC is there. There is AAC. There is Labour Party. There are other parties in Nigeria. The political parties in Nigeria are not true. And parties, nations go through cycle. Maybe the PDP is now going to stay in the ditch for a long time. And if they're careful, they will be able to resurrect. And if they're not careful, they will become a platform of body. Let me repeat that. The People's Democratic Party of Nigeria may become a platform of burden to those who want to contest the election, because you can't take the risk that you get to the final date and they'll tell you built something or nothing. Who's going to sign the form? Who's going to sign the form?
Otumba, I fear that even though you call yourself a bona fide member of the PDP, you sound somewhat dismissive about it, and even giving it this tag of a party of label, or I mean the tag you've labeled the party as. But then one has to look at the PDP in its entirety and the members and what unfolded yesterday. You tagged it as a display of disgrace. It was disgraceful, and you didn't mince words. And so we also have to look at who is the minister of the FCT, okay? And the show of brute force that unfolded yesterday, from tear gas being dispersed, party goers, people at this point, glasses broken into gates, security against security. I've never seen this type of show of force before. And so at the Capitol, then, should the FCT minister have put out a statement about that? And can we say the FCT minister is culpable as well to all that we've seen yesterday?
You see, look. I say that when it comes to Wike, the FCT Minister, former governor of Rivers State, it seems like a lot of people in the country have made up their mind that they will never have a second look at things. If he had, using his responsibility as the Chief Secretary of Abuja, conduct of the place, prevented the people from gathering to avoid what was mostly going to happen that could be predictable, they would have said, Wike, stop them. If he provided security so that when they start to fight, they can separate themselves, they will say, Wike caused it. If they bring thugs there, why would you think Wike will be the one to bring the thugs? There are two factions here. There's one being led by the National Secretary, and there's one being led by you-know-who. What are governors of the party? Look. I will not join a gang of people that calls a dog a bad name to hang it. We can have issues on style, on language, on other things, but we cannot insist that what we saw before our eyes, without a thorough investigative panel coming up with a report of who did what, when, and how, we will now say it's Wike. No, I won't be part of that. And that does not mean I'm exonerating him, but I'm saying that on the surface, you can't say that. You can't say that. And if you want to say it, okay, go ahead and say it, but I can't say that for you. And I'm not in any way pampering him or saying that, oh, no. You have to be sure. Look, if you have a court order from Omotosho, why wasn't it obeyed? If you had a court order from Lifu, why wasn't it obeyed? If you go and do a forum shopping in Ibadan, and you said you did some action, why did Fintiri step away from it? Why did Mufrank step away from it? Are they not governors too? So how did you end up with that? So if you have that kind of challenge on your hand, you better stop blaming one individual, because you are making him responsible for things that he himself may just be reacting to. Those who started it know themselves. When you got back from Omotosho, why did it seem smart to you that the very next thing to do is to suspend the secretary, suspend the legal, suspend the organizing secretary? Who does that? It simply means that you don't want to boycott others and you rather just go for self-help. If not for the police, which we must thank, FCT Command, thank you very much for helping me to spare them from killing themselves. What would have happened yesterday? What if they killed themselves? It's okay that they were dispersed. It's okay that it didn't look tidy, they scuffled a bit. What about if there was no police there and somebody had just killed the other? What would we say this morning? Imagine if all the other 19 or 18 political parties in Nigeria were displaying that kind of disgrace all over the place. How do you want the country to look?
Yeah, I mean,
we have enough problems on our hands. We don't need those kind of nonsense. I should call it what it is. This is unacceptable, period.
Otumba, I mean, it's the capital. We also saw what happened earlier this year when he shut down the Secretariat, giving issues of land payment. But we're pressed for time and we do have to go. I must say thank you for taking out the time to join us this morning and just give us your own insight on the events that unfolded yesterday at the PDP Secretariat. Otumba,
Sowunmi, thank you so much
thank
for your
you
time.
for joining us.
Alternative Movement.